This video is about the archetype of Gemini. Whether you have a sun, moon, or ascendant in Gemini, or if you have a stellium of planets, meaning 3 or more planets in the sign of Gemini, or if you have Mercury in Gemini, this video is for you. Welcome to Starwell Astrology. My name is Shari, and I am a Western tropical astrologer, and I specialize in shadow work. If you enjoy exploring astrology, shadow work, as well as esotericism and astrotheology, then don't forget to subscribe and like. But also, I want to mention that I do offer regular natal chart readings, but there is also the option for one-on-one shadow work if you are interested. My information is below. Or you can reach me at my email, which is starwellastro@gmail.com. As I discuss the archetype of Gemini, please keep in mind that we are never one thing and the whole natal chart must be taken into consideration. I am just isolating the Gemini core characteristics. So let's talk about Gemini's core traits. Gemini is the third sign of the zodiac, and it is a mutable air sign ruled by Mercury. And its key phrase is, I think. Gemini is one of the easier and less complicated signs of the zodiac, but all signs have a higher expression, which is more harmonious, and a shadow side. So Geminis are great communicators because they are a mental sign. And they are very intelligent and verbally expressive. They're able to communicate naturally through writing and speaking, and they're also very quick learners. They love to use their hands, and as I'm doing this, I'm using my hands. I'm a Gemini Sun. So they love to use their hands, and it becomes an extension of their communication style. Gemini rules the hands and the mind, and this demonstrates our dual nature. The hands and the brain both are polar opposite sides. The right brain is the less dominant brain and it controls the left hand, which for most people, it is the less dominant side. Now, the left brain is the more dominant brain and it controls the right hand. But ideally, both hands need to work together to create something tangible. And Geminis are pretty good with their hands. They have great hand skills. Although Gemini has access to both sides of the brain, if they can harmonize the hemispheres and find a natural state of even-mindedness where both hemispheres of the brain are working together, they can get access to deeper qualities in themselves because they can open the gates to their feelings to know their emotional truth. However, this is not easy for Geminis because there is an imbalance. But because there is an imbalance, Gemini is said to rule the lower mind, which is the left brain that controls the right hand. And this is the masculine, logical, linear, and intellectual mind. Now, the left brain dominates and has overpowered the right brain, which is the feminine hemisphere of the brain that allows us to process our emotions. It gives access to our creative endeavors. The right brain also rules our intuition and is more directly linked to the heart, where we can know what we're feeling. The right brain is our pure intelligence that holds potentials. Now, Gemini, being a dual sign, has access to both sides, but it has a more developed left brain or lower mind that overshadows the right brain and the higher mind. Because of this imbalance, some might experience Geminis as unpredictable and even two-faced. They tend to have two sides to their personality. They are a mutable air sign. So they are very flexible and adaptable. They love to do many things at once. This makes them great multitaskers. Most times they do at least two things or more at the same time. But although they might gain more because they're doing more, what they accomplish might tend to be more on the surface level. They lose focus and interest quickly and are not able to stay invested for long enough to explore their interests to a deeper level. So, because they tend to get bored. So, whatever they accomplish might be more on a surface level or a superficial level. Because of the lack of focus, they can be inconsistent and might seem a bit wishy-washy, even indecisive. Geminis can be seen as restless, and they really just need to feed their minds more and more information because they love to think, especially about new ideas. They like to gather the details or data and then think about the information they've gathered. Then they like to write it down in some sort of logical order. Oftentimes, they'll keep a list of things that they need to do or just list things in a linear order because it keeps their mind in order. If you can observe a bee going from one flower to the next to gather as much pollen as they can, Geminis are like this. They have a deep thirst for mental stimulation and are never really satisfied as they move from one thing to the next. They might know a lot about many topics because they are open and curious enough to learn about many things, but they will not have the concentration needed to dive deeply into one subject for long enough to become proficient. But they love to share what they know and can teach new skills in a very practical and logical way. Geminis are great at small talk or petty gossip and will not want to have a deep, meaningful conversation that engages them emotionally. And although they love to talk more than listen because they are very present, they're able to listen too. And listening is very supportive of their communication style because they enjoy having an equal feedback. So they love to learn new things, so they might get quiet enough to hear what is being said if it sounds interesting. They are a dual ear sign, so they do like having an equal exchange of ideas and information. So others feel heard when they're talking to a Gemini, usually, not always, but most times people will feel heard because they are very likable and disarming. They like to keep things light, open, and interesting, but not too deep. Geminis are not comfortable with those who are too emotional or too intense. Geminis often get labeled as liars, and this might be true, especially if Mercury is in a less harmonious aspect with the planet Neptune. But Geminis in general are said to be very good at lying. However, they are curious, flexible, and adaptable, so they tend to see different sides to everything, and so they can easily bend the truth. Plus, they are usually not very emotionally invested in how they see things. So if they're lying, for them, it just seems like the logical thing to do. They are naturally gifted at being very present and also very objective. And this objectivity, while being present, when combined with their natural ability to stay open and curious, allows them to see different perspectives. They're able to manipulate the truth, but also they might not see it as a lie. Instead, they believe they're just seeing another perspective. Their objective views can make them very indecisive at times, and they can easily change their minds, their opinions and views, because they look at all sides and they want the freedom to make choices. So they don't really want to be stuck into any one thing. So Geminis are seen as being maybe inconsistent, and they also are kind of chameleon-like because they can take on a different personality based on the situation they're in. And because of this, they're not trusted for having any real staying power or substance in their character. Because they're very curious and disarming and engaging, you might be tempted to open up and share your secrets, but it's never a good idea to share your secrets with Gemini because they might overshare with someone else. Geminis love to gather information and learn something new through any means necessary, whether it's reading a book, watching the news, a movie. They like putting puzzle pieces together or playing word games or scrolling through social media. They are great at socializing and they have great social contacts and are able to network very easily. Geminis can make easy and quick connections between different things, situations, informations, or idea, and they have a very strong intellect. They are not an emotional sign, and so they are not too concerned with other people's feelings, and they definitely do not like drama. They tend to think that others are overreacting. They prefer to think about their feelings rather than feel their feelings. And so they are not emotionally invested in their relationships, and this can cause a problem in their romantic lives. So their romantic connections are not very deep. They prefer to stay on the surface and keep things superficial. They prefer a light, open connection where things feel easy because they're not comfortable with deep, intimate contact. Geminis are not very connected to their hearts, and so they do not want to feel vulnerable by any means. Instead, they prefer to keep the relationship more playful and not so serious. They don't want intense relationships or to deal with a partner who is too jealous or possessive. They need freedom and variety to keep things interesting. Sometimes the need for this freedom leads to cheating or the desire to have an open relationship. They have a youthful soul, but sometimes can be immature and childish. And they love new, fresh ideas to keep up with the current news or trends. And this also will keep them young at heart, even as they get older. But Gemini and the shadow side. Well, they can use their natural ability to be present as the observer and to focus instead on themselves. Instead of focusing so much on the external information that feeds their mind, they need instead to turn the attention inwards on their own thoughts and to start to connect in a more conscious way how their thoughts are associated with their feelings. And this is an essential step for Geminis in shadow work. They need to learn to stay open to their feelings, even though it's not very comfortable for them. But to acknowledge and face what they're feeling emotionally is the best way to start to become emotionally aware. Journaling can help them to describe their feelings. Since their hands are an extension of their left and right brain or higher and lower mind, writing, especially through a typewriter, where you're using both hands, can open them up to a deeper awareness in finding the balance. If they're willing to allow themselves to feel, if they can do this and fully feel their feelings without judgment, then they can get access to the higher mind and bring it into balance with the lower mind. If they surrender and stay present as the observer to what they're feeling, this allows them to find that balance. And this is possible for them because they're ruled by air. And so this can be something that they can access quite easily with some effort. And in shadow work, this is an essential step in order to really connect with life more intimately. We need to open our hearts and feel all our emotions to get access to an intuitive spark that will reveal true passions. In order for Geminis to engage their passionate desires, it is required that they know what they feel emotionally. If Geminis can discover this within themselves, they will not lose interest and might be able to stay focused long enough to become very proficient at whatever their interests are. Because they love to write, then journaling allows the hands to be a channel or a conduit. So the left and right hemisphere of the brain to bring in insights and true knowledge. They need to stay present to their inner dialogue, become aware, and observe their feelings. And then they need to feel their feelings to get access to their heart. The heart gives us access to our intuition. And without the guidance of intuitive insights, we cannot heal our emotional wounds at the deepest level. Otherwise, Geminis will use their dominant left brain to find logical surface answers to what they're feeling. And in shadow work, we need access to the intuitive guidance to show us our unconscious wounded self for real and profound healing to happen. Gemini house rulerships based on Gemini being on the ascendant can reveal intriguing patterns. And Leo rules the third house of Gemini ascendant signs. And this is why Gemini are more confident communicators, and they love to interact with others and share their ideas. They're also very inspired thinkers, and they have a very innovative mind that can express itself through the written word or by teaching what they have learned. They have a very sunny, easygoing, and expressive communication style. Libra rules the fifth house, and this shows how they love. They like having an equal exchange and harmonious and balanced relationship that is not complicated or intense. They like to keep things light and friendly, but not too emotional. And they need to be able to have the freedom to make choices in a relationship. They also might have two romantic interests at the same time, just to keep their options open. Now, Sagittarius rules their seventh house, and they like partners who are able to stimulate them intellectually. They love the broader, higher perspective of the Sagittarius energy, where they can bounce ideas off their partners and have an interesting dialogue or conversation about various topics. Sagittarius are optimistic and usually successful, at least interested in being successful, and Geminis will naturally feel attracted to these qualities. Sagittarius is also very adventurous, and Geminis love to travel and see the world and other cultures. So, Geminis love having a more expansive view of the world. And so, the Sagittarius energy gives Geminis excitement and an interesting view on their lifestyle choices. The Sagittarius energy gives Gemini the inspiration and the excitement and the interest in having a lifestyle that feels more free and open, even when in a partnership. So, in astrotheology and esoteric mysticism, Gemini rules the twins in the Bible. And there are many Bible stories of the twins. But first, it starts out in Genesis with Adam and Eve. Now, Adam came first, and then Eve was created from Adam. So the one became two in the Garden of Eden. Now, the Garden of Eden in astrotheology is the body. So Adam and Eve together gave birth to twins, Cain and Abel. Adam and Eve are one, but from a perceived separation once they ate the fruit of experience or duality, meaning good and evil, they became two. The division or separation of the masculine and feminine energy. The brain has a left and right hemisphere, which are masculine and feminine hemispheres. And Geminis represent the polarized mind. Abel is the higher mind, the right brain, and Cain is the lower mind, the left brain. In astrotheology, Gemini represents the battle between both hemispheres of the brain. The higher mind that is more spiritually aligned in unity consciousness is the right brain, and it's less dominant. It gets overridden by the lower mind. So in the story, Cain kills Abel. Cain is the lower mind, and he kills Abel, the higher mind, because it is more dominant. The left brain rules our logic and our linear way of thinking, and also it rules our intellect. And this way of thinking, meaning everything being logical and linear, disconnects us from our union with the divine oneness. So Cain kills Abel, and this shows how the left brain and the lower mind is the dominant mind in this reality, and actually is what is actually essential in this reality. The work is finding the balance, though, in both hemispheres of the brain to be synthesized in even-mindedness. And we can gain equanimity in the mind and can know the heart's desire and live in alignment with truth. Thank you for joining me. And if you like this content, then please do not forget to subscribe and hit the like button. It will help my channel to grow. And also, I want to remind you that I do offer natal chart readings and my information is below. Thank you for joining me and hope to see you again next time. Bye.